Hello, I am Sai with Things Very Good, and I have some great news for you today. I know a lot of you already have suspected that maybe this COVID-19 thing isn't really what we thought it was, and maybe it's not as deadly as we thought it was. Maybe it's not as dangerous as we thought it was. And it seems like there is new evidence to support this fact right here. And I just want to point you to Dr. Colleen Huber. So on August 10th, 2020, she came out with some new information based on statistics from the Center for Disease Control, the CDC website. And it's very interesting and it tells a lot. Okay, so just to give you an idea of what this is about, it says, is there a pandemic? From CDC data, 2020 has the lowest weekly death rate in a decade so far. And although some of the lower death rate may be due to reporting lag, that lag is likely too small to explain the lower weekly death rate in 2020 than in previous years. So that's very interesting. So I'm going to just point you to this page here, and you can check out this information for yourself. I also want to point out that there is flaws that I've been talking about in the testing, and there's multiple reasons why there could be a higher death count related to COVID and influenza and pneumonia this year than actually exist. Well, let's just go ahead and take a look. The most confusing aspect of COVID-19 is reliance on a reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction, or PCR, manufacturing technique, RT-PCR. Now nearly universal, repurposed as a test for the presence of SARS-CoV-2 virus. Although there are many problems with this test, I outline these problems below. So the first one is the very questionable applicability of the RT-PCR manufacturing technique for propagating RNA, now used throughout the world as a presumed test for presence of the particular infectious agent in question of other coronaviruses, other virions, and virus particles that may resemble the SARS-CoV-2 infectious agent without distinction among those. Okay, so that's the first one. So the PCR test may be having people test positive for other things, and the antigen tests are even worse. So the 80% false positive rate of nucleic acid testing in the diagnosis of COVID-19, and the primary number of iterations of this test that must be selected to produce a positive result, and instructions given to physicians by the CDC to code cases as COVID-19 deaths, including presumptively, and controversy regarding higher Medicare and private insurance reimbursements for COVID-19 patients than for flu patients, which may have skewed reported cause of death on death certificates, and financial rewards to hospitals by the CARES Act for the number of COVID-19 patients they treat, and direct financial incentives to patients for positive COVID-19 test results, which is something that you may not have heard of, but this is something that has been presented to us recently, that patients could get money for having positive test results, and the possibility that there may be political influences in altering the true number of COVID deaths for COVID-19. So, therefore, in order to attain the truest picture of the impact of COVID-19 on public health, it may be helpful to look at deaths from all causes to see if there was a significant change. Lack of significant change in those numbers implies lack of lethality from any new cause. So, let's go ahead and take a look at this. And I really like the way she did this. So it's week 32 as of the time that she's writing this of this year. So for each previous year, 52 weeks have already elapsed. So how then can we compare deaths from all causes in 2020 to previous years? So she divided the total number of deaths for each year by the number of weeks. But then she did even something more. She actually showed for last year compared to this year up to the 32-week mark compared to the 32-week mark for this week, which is also very revealing and actually surprising. So let's just go ahead and look at this table 1 here. So you can see here in table 1, we've got all years from 2000 to 2020. The 21st is the worst or no, is the least amount of deaths per month of all the years, and that was year 2009. So other than that, since the year 2000, 2020 has the least deaths per month by percentage compared to any other year, and that means percentage of the population. So let's explain this further. So you can see that there are several other years that are similar as far as having 50,000 or more deaths, although 2020 is less per month than 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, and 2015. And but by percentage, you can see right here, it's 0.015, let's even enlarge this, 358%. And that is the 20th lowest death rate by population compared to all of the other years except for one, which was 2009. So that being said, you can see that so far in 2020, we actually have less deaths from all causes compared to most other years in the 2000s, especially by percentage, but even practically comparing to other years, we have lower deaths by month overall. So now we're going to go down a little further and we're going to look at this graph, and this shows a percentage of deaths by week. And so far this year, we are pretty close to the lowest. You can see compared to 2009, it was pretty close. And in 2020, per week deaths were at the lowest so far for most of the years from 2000 to 2020. So this even gets better. So we're going to just scroll down here, and I want to show you what they did for 2019. So for 2019, the deaths a week as a percentage of the U.S. population, it shows here, but even better than that, it shows the total deaths were 54,904 per month during that 52-week period of 2019. But better yet, up through week 32, which matches the information that Dr. Huber has put together for this year, 2020, up to week 32, it shows 54,081 deaths per week up to that point, up to the 32-week mark of 2019. So that's just last year. And if we go back here again and we look at what we are in 2020 at 32 weeks, we are at 50,867 deaths average per week, which means that deaths from all cause for the year 2020 in the United States are lower than last year for sure so far. And being that it seems that most of the deaths occur earlier in the year based upon pneumonia, influenza, and now what they're calling COVID, you should have seen the most of the deaths happen already, which means that it's likely that percentage and the overall deaths per month are going to be even lower as the year goes on. Dr. Huber does point out that the data may change because we still may get more updated information and death certificates that haven't been reported yet, but the percentage of what hasn't been reported is not likely to put these numbers very much higher, which means we're still going to probably be an overall low death year compared to other years since 2000. So I thought that was a really revealing little bit of evidence that Dr. Huber put together, and I want to just kind of close this off with showing the discussion at the end of her article, which you can view here. It says, if COVID-19 is genuinely the deadly pandemic that it is widely thought to be, then deaths would not only be a little higher than usual, but would be much greater during the period of its peak incidence and closely following weeks. It is not possible to have a deadly pandemic rage through a population without reason for alternative causes of death, like heart disease, cancer, etc., to simultaneously decline. Therefore, if deaths are not significantly increased above previous years for a given region, then there has been no pandemic, nor even an epidemic there. On the contrary, what we found is that so far there are fewer deaths per week in 2020 than in any other year since 2009. Although some of this lower death rate may be due to reporting lag, that is likely too small to explain the considerably lower weekly death rate in 2020 than in previous years. It seems that there is no pandemic in 2020 of COVID-19 or of anything else, at least not in the United States. So there you have it. I think that's pretty amazing, and I think it's pretty good evidence. And as we stated, there's incentive and reason that more deaths could be attributed to COVID. The overall death count was lower, but that being said, these extra deaths from PIC, which they call pneumonia, influenza, and COVID, those could be due to reporting that is not accurate, meaning that somebody had COVID, they died in a motorcycle accident, and that death got reported as COVID, for example. And that stuff has happened, and it's happened on a big scale. There's all kinds of cases like that. So there you have it. I'm just going to go ahead and say thank you for watching. Please give a thumbs up and subscribe and share if you liked this video. I just want to finish this video off with something I thought was great, because in this year it's good to see people doing something to help people not be under mind control and not follow the propaganda. So let's go ahead and finish off with this next video here.
I'm not threatening you. I'm getting over Linda. Get them now. Get them over here now. Just call the police. Call them.
I'm sorry.
I will comply with the police. Not you or you.
Daniel.
I'm not going to cut you, guys. I'm not here to cause violence. I'm here to liberate the people. Liberate the people.
Why don't you drop that knife, buddy?
Stay back. Yeah, I know, and that's what
Or he's gonna walk away from him now. So the guy's got a knife on.
I think you just gotta.
I know,
Put it
but
like that.
something could happen.
On security bylaws, you cannot come into private property and do construction. That's destruction. This is the anti-destruction. You don't touch me. I don't care. Only the police. This is a team. You know this. You're not afraid of me. I don't. You're not afraid. So step up. Please. Put the stickers in the store.
Please leave the store.
You can say please, but they're not saying please to us from the World Health Organization. They're not saying please if they rewrite our society. We need some pushback now, or there'll be pushback never. Okay? So we're not playing around anymore. We're scraping for truth. We're scraping for freedom.
Everybody, out of the store, please, or shut the doors.
On my own, but I don't know why you hit the road, but you don't realize I won't look back when you're around. I won't think twice when you're gone.